Hey folks, it's Jang here with some non-live narrated footage of my session in Archon's Forge in Destiny today. Today is Destiny update day for patch 2.4.1, and I told you in my last update that I was gonna go do some killing, some work in Archon's Forge, and so this is just going to be some footage from that, just edited up, giving you some highlights from it. For folks who actually play Destiny on a regular basis and you're familiar with Archon's Forge, you're probably not going to get much out of this. Honestly, it's more for folks who maybe have played but haven't played in a while, or who haven't played it at all, just giving you a little taste of what this whole event is like. Basically, you push a bad guy button based on essentially a key that you find in the wild, and then it gives you bad guys and you fight against them, and then you're done. Now, at respectable light levels, character levels that are available today, most of the difficulty levels of this event are fairly easy. A lot of stuff to pick up, a lot of folks to kill, but you don't see many folks actually dying. This is a completely public event, so just random folks join in. I just came in and was fortunate enough to get into one that was active, and then you just keep going. So you see somebody else has basically pushed the bad guy button, starting another session at this point, and more baddies are coming out. And they come out in different configurations depending upon exactly what type of key of sorts that you put in, and you'll see some different configurations of different types of baddies and different levels of strength of them and such. If you do well enough, which is pretty easy, you kill enough things quickly enough, they will give you these axes. These axes are very cool. The main boss will come up beneath this clamshell egg thing, and if you time it just right, you'll actually be able to get down there like this and kill the boss very, very quickly. Now, the two main most common levels of difficulty that you get for this event allow you to very, very quickly get rid of the bad guys. These are just green engrams, well, not even engrams, just green items, common level stuff that I do pick up in order to get the spin metal from my ghost that gives me extra spin metal in the Plaguelands or on Earth in general. And you just go through round after round. Here's another case where most folks didn't even bother going for the axe. I was the only one who went for the axe for any of the axes there, and stuff just gets killed off pretty quickly. I will show you though some perfected gameplay, so that'll be coming up in a little bit. You really don't get much time between rounds, so I had picked up some green stuff and I just try to keep it from clogging up my postmaster where extra stuff ends up going. And even in just the short amount of time there, just trying to get into my inventory, get rid of a couple of things, already somebody had triggered the next round. So once it gets going, you start getting those keys. They're little donations that get dropped by just random ads around the place. I totally failed at that jump. Totally failed. I was trying to go for the dude on the ledge. But as long as you have, I like to see, oh, here I get almost exploded. I like to see at least 4 people in the forge at one time in order to have a large enough chance of folks actually finding those little donations, those offerings that I call keys, and things can just keep going. So I think the longest session that I've ever had was about 2 hours, and I just got tired of it. I just couldn't take it anymore. So much stuff comes out of it, and at this point in the game I was around either 385 or 386, where not all of my equipment was at 385, so a lot of the stuff that I would get here, and also anything in terms of legendary engrams, is all very useful. Every once in a while you get a chance to get, now thanks to the 2.4.1 update, a chance to get a ghost or an artifact that will scale to your light level, so that's much, much more useful. But most of the other legendary items will just turn into 385s. But at this point, this is still all very useful to me. And yeah, it was a perfect time to actually do this, and I was glad to be able to keep it going for a while. This is enhanced level. There's fused, there's enhanced. See, again, I didn't even make it in there. One guy did manage to die. He probably got just blown up by an exploding servitor. But I'll splice in a little bit more footage. Get it? Splice, because of the splicers. Terrible, I know. Inventory, filling up. Not enough time to get it cleared out, but eventually I find some time. Sometimes you just have to kind of sit back and let other folks start with the next round, and just sit back outside or inside of the forge, technically, not up at the panel, and just work on your inventory for a while and hope you don't die in the process. That was actually my first shell that I got, my first ghost shell from the 2.4.1 update. And then this here is a perfected or highest level of difficulty round. So this one I'm actually going to let play through. I was away from the keyboard there. Away from the keyboard. Ha! Old phrase. Away from the controller for a minute there. Came back in, and this will show all of the part that I actually was able to participate in. These actually do get tough, especially at the points where the bosses come out. You will see people die. There I just totally failed. Again, just falling off the ledge. But on these, a lot of folks tend to be very aggressive and kind of get into the habit of being very aggressive as you go through the fused and enhanced level or difficulty level versions of this. And folks tend to sometimes not adjust when it becomes perfected. So you will see people who actually die at this difficulty level, which is good. You want to see that high level of difficulty where you actually have to be careful. You have to watch out for things. Like in that a couple rounds back, you saw me get hit twice in close succession by exploding shanks, and those should be able to take you out. But at this light level, it's just not really an issue. There's somebody else just went down, and this is where the boss is actually out. I'm going to spend some time in this round dealing with stuff around the edges, because stuff around the edges will prevent you from recovering. So those servitors up there on the ledge and on the platform, they just keep on shooting. Even the shanks, they don't do a lot of damage, but they shoot quickly and they keep you from recovering, so you're never able to get your shields back. So it's very important to deal with the ads even during this time. You see how much damage the perfected shanks are actually taking here. I try not to run in too frequently to do revives, because what just happened will happen. You end up going in to revive somebody and then you die. So there, just another person went in for a revive and ended up dying again. I'm gonna focus on here, actually run in to try to get some heavy ammo, because I'm out of it, but I'm trying to focus on doing stuff on the side. That was just a moment of chance. I was able to get one guy up while the bosses were not looking in the center. They were focusing around the edges. But I try to use mostly just the rocket, stay back. Most of the time the Gallarhorn does great, because not only does it do a lot of damage to the boss that you're trying to hit, but it also helps to clear out, with those secondary cluster munitions, helps to clear out little stuff that tends to cluster towards the center. And this is it. One last shot on that last perfected shank, and that ends one perfected round. I got one more pursuer shell, another ghost shell. Picked up a legendary engram there. Long since full on splicer keys. Just good stuff. That is the type of round that I really like. At one time it was really difficult to get through a perfected round at all, and being able to increase the light level quickly enough that now the perfected stuff is good. And the drops are good. The drops are pretty well randomized from what I've seen. I haven't seen any real patterns. So, like I said, good stuff. There's another offering, so that's like the key. And folks, please, Defender Titans, do not put your bubble on this platform here where the bosses come up. Seriously, don't do that, because folks end up pushing the bosses back into that bubble, and then we can't do damage to them. All right, this is my favorite type of boss to go against, Perfected Servitor, just because it's so big. It's so huge. Here, this one's actually looking at me. You can dodge this one much more easily. You know, it's shots much more easily than the shanks. But I hope that with future updates to the Forge, they'll bring in more just physically large things to go against, because that's really cool. If they could bring in some actual Archons, and also eventually maybe even bring in some Vex stuff, but definitely some Hive. I'd like to see some Hive in here, you know, some big dudes to go against. So that's it. That was a summary of some Archon forging. I'll be back soon with the loot.